Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Between Sessions with Berries. We have a very interesting guest today, Danielle Smith, LCSW, PMHC. I don't even know what those credentials are, but I want to find out. Is a licensed clinical social worker, and certified peri-mental health specialist based in New Jersey. She works with women and mothers navigating pregnancy, postpartum, and early motherhood, with a particular focus on the mental load, high-functioning anxiety, identity shifts, and burnout. As the founder of Empowered Counseling, a virtual therapy practice, and Empowered Motherhood, a coaching and community space, Danielle offers support that's both clinically grounded and deeply compassionate. Today, she's here to talk about what modern motherhood really looks like behind the scenes and how we can take better care of ourselves through it. Danielle, thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited to have you here.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into this work. Like, what drew you to perinatal mental health and supporting moms?
So I've been a therapist since 2014, and I worked with just so many different people. I worked with like an agency. So there was so many different people coming through my door. I wasn't really sure exactly what I was passionate about until I became a mom. So I opened up my private practice in 2021. So I became a mom in 2020, August of 2020. During my maternity leave, I was like, I can't continue with working in community mental health and just the burnout. I noticed how burnt out I was. So that's when I decided to start my private practice. And I didn't realize how hard the transition into motherhood would be. I didn't prepare. Even being a therapist, I feel like I didn't prepare in the way that I should have mentally for motherhood. So it was tough. That transition was really hard. So I felt like once I was out of the fog of postpartum, I decided I really wanted to support other moms through this. Yeah, I just wanted to be there for them and help them. And I'm really even passionate about supporting them while they're pregnant and trying to avoid some of the struggles that I went through, but also navigating all the changes.
So you were in community mental health, got pregnant, had a baby, went on maternity leave, and while you're out, you're like, oh, I'm burned out. This is not going to be sustainable. Something's got to change. And then I guess it was like right during the pandemic, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It was during the pandemic. And I did my private practice and I was still working at my other job too. I did that for like 11 months while I was building up my practice. So that was chaotic time, being like a new mom, starting a business, still having my full-time job. And after like 11 months, I was like, okay, I have to close that door and just focus on my private practice and like supporting moms because I just knew that's what I was passionate about.
So when you decided to close the community mental health door and go into my private practice, you're saying I wasn't prepared at all, really. I just kind of jumped into it because I knew I had to. And then you just built from there, I guess. And it sounds like figure out along the way, like, okay, I've got a baby. Postpartum, I'm getting out of that part of it, but you're learning a lot of lessons along the way, it sounds like, throughout that transition.
Yeah, I did a program to help with like starting a private practice. So I was like really invested in that. That helped support me and opening the doors, getting clients. So yeah, I had some support through that.
That's amazing. Yeah. With your own motherhood, your own transition with motherhood, like what were you not prepared for? You had the baby, maternity leave, and all of that. I just wonder, like, from your own experience. And then it sounds like that led into this transition of that's your niche now and you're helping other mothers. But what weren't you prepared for that maybe you could share here if like a therapist / new mom or soon to be new mom is listening? What was that for you?
I think it sounds silly. When you think about becoming a mom, it's like, you have to take care of this human. You know that things are going to change. But I feel like until you live it, it's like hard to wrap your head around that. I can remember just being like, I miss being able to just get up and go, get my nails done, or just do something for myself. So that big change, just like the identity shift from just like womanhood into motherhood. I remember so many times being like, oh my goodness, I'm a mom. Like I had to take care of this little baby. My first was a little difficult. He was like a little colicky, didn't sleep very well. So that was really hard. There was a lot of nights just up with him while he's crying. And I remember feeling like I should know what to do. I've heard so many people say, like, once he's born, you're just going to know. You're just going to know what to do. That motherly instinct's going to kick in. Don't worry. And I just kind of remember being like, yeah, I don't know what to do. He's crying. I'm crying. Just that, the misconception that you're just going to know. Like, it's okay that you don't know. And I realize that now. At the time, I did not realize that.
Yeah, especially with the messaging. It's like, you should know instinctually. A good mother would already know how to handle this. That's a lot of pressure.
Exactly.
I'm not a mom, just to say I'm not a mom. I have a stepdaughter. I've known her since she was 6, but nothing like what you guys go through. I don't even know how you function and run private practices and do all that. And I imagine what you're talking about. It makes me think about like when I was a new therapist out there in private practice, even like brand new. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I really have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I was not prepared to do that. All these different cases coming in and everything. So I'm relating on that level, just like that overall imposter syndrome that comes up around any new thing that you do in your life. And I imagine motherhood's got to just be so overwhelming.
Yeah, that's such a good word for it, like imposter syndrome. Because even now, my oldest is 5. I have 3 kids. So I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old. So even now, like 5 years later, I'm so like, wait a second, that imposter syndrome still can creep in.
So it kind of sounds like to me, maybe you could tell me about your journey through it. It sounds like you started experiencing this stuff yourself and learning, and then decided this would be a good niche for me because I've lived it, walked through it. Is that how that evolved for you?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Just was so passionate about the topic and being there for other moms. I'm like my ideal client. I'm like right there in the thick of it too. And I know like my clients like that. They like how I have the personal experience, but also the trainings to the professional experience as well. All my friends are in the same stage too. So I just feel like I'm like really immersed in it and just so passionate about helping other moms through this and like normalizing it. I certainly still struggle and it's hard. Motherhood is hard. So my goal is to like normalize that and also support.
It seems like you also, from your bio, have niched down even further to not just new moms, but also these high functioning kind of anxiety type moms as a specialty. I mean, all of us therapists, if that's your specialty, normally it's because that's you in a lot of ways. So, I mean, I just wondered, was that you, like the high functioning anxiety kind of mom? And I'd like to talk about that. What does that look like? How is that different than just a regular new mom? And what are the signs and symptoms that you might be a high functioning anxiety type mom? Maybe we could drill down in that a little bit.
Sure. I think now that I've worked with so many moms in that area, like I realize that is me. Like I think a few years ago, I would have been like, no. But I kept seeing like the moms coming through my door, this like high functioning, like they're really high achieving, very successful. It's like driven them to be where they're at. And what I see a lot is there's no issue with that until they have kids. And then it's like, oh, wait, like I can't perform at the same capacity because now I have a million other things on my to-do list. And then that's where you can't use the same coping strategies. I always say like motherhood kind of like opens up old wounds. You're forced to look at things that you think like you've healed or just things that weren't an issue before tend to show up now. And so I never really considered myself that way, but I've thought about this a lot lately. And I actually am like, oh, I think I do fall into that box. You have like really high expectations of yourself. You think that you need to do everything. You want things to be a certain way. I think I never really thought that was me because I'm not really like a type A kind of person. I'm more like type B. I don't need to know. I don't need everything to be planned down to the second. But there are other characteristics of high functioning anxiety, I think, that I would fall into.
Yeah, I imagine like if you're already high functioning and maybe a little anxious, you would have 12 hours in a day that you could like just be like, well, I'm just going to knock it out. I'm just going to spend all day doing this. But when kids come in, it's literally forces you to not be able to do that stuff. I would imagine, I'm sure you help with be able to reconcile that, okay, I'm just literally not going to be able to achieve at this level that I think I should be, or burnout. It seems like those are the two pivotal moment there to learn that they've got to do one or the other. I don't know, from your perspective.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because you're right. Like, you can't do everything for everyone all the time and be extremely successful. Something has to give. And usually, working with these moms, it's not like we want to add more to your plate with more self-care. It's like, what can we take off of your plate? And how can we lower your expectations? And it's okay to be good enough. That's something that we work on a lot.
That's amazing. How do you help with that? And we could talk a little bit about your program too, I think. And maybe let's talk about it now because you've got two cohorts here, really. You've got your therapy clients that you see in the therapy container and probably do the deeper trauma work, I would guess. And then you've also got the coaching program. Maybe we could just talk about the difference in those two and then a little bit of, for anybody listening, coping skills in either side of the container, so to speak.
Yeah. So I have Empowered Counseling, which is my therapy, like private practice. I'm in New Jersey. So I see anyone, I'm all virtual. I see anyone in New Jersey. And with that practice, I see a lot of women going anywhere through their fertility journey. They could be trying to conceive, having miscarriages, fertility struggles, pregnancy, postpartum. So it's not just like early motherhood, it's like anywhere along your fertility journey. And I'm trained in EMDR. So we do some trauma work. And in those sessions, it's really about looking back, like look backwards and try to make connections with childhood and what's going on now and limiting beliefs and EMDR if necessary. So yeah, it's really more of like that deeper work. Empowered Motherhood, that is a separate LLC. And that's more for like the early motherhood, high functioning anxiety. And I have a support group. So I purposely chose to do that separate because I really want to expand my reach with my LCSW. I can only see women in New Jersey. So with Empowered Motherhood, it's a support group. It's not therapy. Anyone in the whole world can join my group. And that group is more like the early motherhood. So anyone from newly postpartum to about 5 years, they're welcome to join. And it is for moms, typically with like high functioning anxiety.
What's the difference from an entrepreneurial perspective, right? We talk about that a lot on this podcast. Therapists maybe wanting to get out of the one-to-one model or trying to scale into coaching, that kind of thing for various reasons. Like for you, what is that line of like what's support versus therapy? Maybe we could talk about that a little bit because I think that's a very confusing topic for people. And I love the differentiation because it does let you scale your impact. You're not just stuck in this licensed one-to-one. I can only see one client an hour and they have to be in New Jersey, that kind of thing. So could we talk about that a little bit just for people listening? Like, how do you differentiate the difference?
Not just for me, for anyone. The therapy and coaching, like therapy, there is the diagnosis and you're doing more deeper trauma work. Whereas like coaching, I feel like it's like meeting someone where they're at, like here and now, and coming up. I think it's more structured too, like coming up with a plan for where you want to go in the future. You don't need a diagnosis. You're not there because you're, clinically depressed. You go to coaching more because it's like, hey, I'm feeling really unorganized in motherhood. How can I get myself more organized? Yes, you could work with a therapist on that, but also you can work in coaching on that.
Yeah, I love that. And I think being a trained therapist, right, you're able to say like, okay, this is crossing the line. I think we need to maybe refer you to a therapist if it's obviously like childhood trauma stuff's coming up or.
Yeah. And the moms in my support group, they could be in therapy. I recommend that they are in therapy as well. Like this is just like a piece of the puzzle in motherhood. They say it takes a village. It's so true. You need support. You need to be with other moms who understand, who can look at you and say like, oh my goodness, like I've been there before, or I'm going through that right now. Like there's so much healing and power in that. So this support group, I encourage those moms to even be in therapy as well.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's so cool that you're offering that. And I would imagine it just feels safer too. Even if they do have the high functioning anxiety, it's maybe just safer knowing we're not going to have to like dip into this deep therapeutic stuff. It's more just practical skills and support and just not feeling so alone, it would seem like to me.
Exactly. Exactly. We do talk about practical skills for managing your anxiety. A main bulk of it is support. It's just us sharing what we're going through, getting that validation and encouragement, not feeling alone. But I do like to do one group a month, like a workshop group where I'll teach on a topic, whether it's identity work, just different things that I know that we all go through as moms in early motherhood. There's that piece of the group as well. My goal eventually is to have guest speakers come on and talk about other topics like sleep or nutrition, stuff like that. We're not there yet, but that's my goal.
That's awesome. It sounds like an amazing place, really. So, just practically for people listening or moms listening, maybe even high functioning moms, if you're a therapist and you're a mom, you probably are high functioning, I would think, in private practice. For those moms that feel stretched thin already, what are some realistic ways they can care for their mental health without adding more pressure to their life?
Something that I like to talk about with my clients is the glass ball theory. So I have them think about all the different responsibilities that they have, do a brain dump of all of that, and then look at each one and see which one is glass and what's plastic. Like, what do we need to keep juggling in the air? Those are the glass ones, because if they fall, there will be consequences. Something's going to break if you drop that glass ball. But if it's plastic, let's put it down. Maybe something that's plastic could be my child's sports that they don't actually even really like. It's like, okay, do we need to do that this season? No, probably not. Let's put it down for this season and maybe we'll pick it back up next year. And knowing that what you're dropping, it doesn't have to be permanent. I'm just putting this down, and when I have more capacity, I can pick it back up. But I really like the visual of that. And I like having them actually writing the things down, labeling them, which one's glass, which one's plastic. And then also I think it's really powerful to say, like, just because you're putting this down doesn't mean it's forever. We can pick it back up later.
I love that. Just the permission to just say, you don't have to have the kids in 12 sports. Yeah. And just from being high functioning anxiety myself, I know that it feels like I have to do everything on my own a lot of times. So giving that permission to say, well, that is actually plastic. It's actually not necessary. You can just set that aside for now. I love that. That's a really good visual too. I've never heard that like analogy. I love it.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
So shifting just a little bit. So when somebody is preparing for that postpartum stage in their life, what have you seen that gets missed emotionally or relationally with people that they maybe should be focusing on when they're preparing for that part of their lives?
Right. I think it's so easy to get wrapped up in the excitement of having a new baby. And a lot of pregnant people will focus so much on like the baby itself, or having a beautiful nursery and making sure like your registry is perfect and you have all the gadgets. But what's missed is thinking about, how is this going to impact me emotionally? I see missed a lot like the communication with their partner. All of my pregnant clients do before giving birth is to sit down with their partner and they go through a list of questions. I have a worksheet. It's on my website. So I have a worksheet of questions to like talk through with your partner. Questions like, who's going to be the one to wake up in the middle of the night? What are we going to eat during postpartum? Do we need to make freezer meals? Is someone else going to cook for us? There's questions about feeding, like breastfeeding, formula feeding, in different ways that you can support each other. And also it has them think about, what are my signs and symptoms that something might be off? Because a lot of times a new mom is not just saying like, oh my goodness, I'm so anxious or I'm so depressed. It is like you see other subtle signs. So I always want to make sure the partner knows that. So they know, okay, these are the things I need to look out for in my wife that show maybe she needs some extra support. It's like a communication guide. When I go through it with my clients, they're like, oh my goodness, I never thought about this.
Yeah, just thinking the same thing.
Right. Neither did I.
Yeah, neither did I.
And that's why I made it. So yeah, it's important communication.
Oh, that's so smart. Yes. So, what are some of the little teeny, because I feel with high functioning anxiety type moms that they would obviously have the tendency to dismiss the symptoms, the early symptoms. They're like maybe one or two that you could share that are really not always that noticeable.
What comes to mind is the freshly postpartum mom who just got home from the hospital and they're like, okay, wait, but I have to do the laundry. Let's clean up the kitchen. Let's do all the things instead of sitting and relaxing and healing. I work with a lot of moms. I have them actually practice this while they're pregnant, just doing nothing and sitting with that uncomfortable feeling of not doing. I even have them make a to-do list and like not complete the whole to-do list. Just trying to expose them to that uncomfortable feeling. It's a little bit more comfortable once baby is here. But of course, not everyone comes to me while they are pregnant. A lot of times I see them postpartum and they're already feeling that anxiety. So it's that mom who still feels like they need to get everything done, even though they just had a baby.
I love that. So, preparing if you can early to relax and let the stuff go. Yeah, that's really smart. Preemptive. Yep, that's so good. So, in this podcast, we always do a little tech piece. Do you have any like AI edges that you're using in your life to make it more manageable, especially like you have 3 kids under 5, which I don't even know how you're doing that and running a business and all of that. But do you have any tips or just life strategies to help either a therapist that's pregnant or has children listening or helping other clients that might be in that situation? Like any tips or tricks that you're using?
The household stuff is really hard for me. I love my business and I love being with my kids, but I do not love cooking. I do not love laundry. So I try to use ChatGPT to help me with stuff like that. Like I will say, hey, I have this. I like list out different ingredients that I have in the house and I'll say, help me make a crock pot meal. And it will just take the whole mental load off of like trying to figure out what to cook. I do that one a lot. I also started having it create like to-do lists for me. I'll do like a brain dump into ChatGPT. Like I like to talk into it and it's just like a dump. And then I'll say like, come up with a practical to-do list. But I also want to like make sure they know like it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like I don't want it to feed into the high functioning anxiety either. So yeah, that's how I use it more in my everyday life. With my business, I do use it to help me with some content creation. And a lot of times I'll write out my own, like, say, captions, and then I'll put it in there and just say, like, hey, does this like make sense? And then I will just let me know, like, does this make sense? Or the same thing with like my newsletter, which I send out weekly. I'll just say, like, does this make sense? It's just like, a second set of eyes on it. So that's how I use it professionally.
Those are such huge time-saving tools. I mean, just the crock pot dinner. It's like, oh, I'm thinking now, I'm like, okay, I've got chicken sausage in there. I've got rice. I've got vegetables. I could probably make that into a pretty good like sheet meal or sheet pan meal or crock pot. Yeah, I love that. It's so smart. So smart. It just takes the pressure off, especially with crock pot meals.
Right. A lot of times my husband's doing the cooking. But if I am doing the cooking, it's usually like a crock pot meal.
So tell us, how do people find you and work with you outside of New Jersey? In New Jersey, how do people find you?
I am on social media. I'm on Instagram at empowered motherhood _. So a lot of people find me that way, or my website. A lot of people say they find me through Googling. So my website, empoweredcounselingnj.com. And on my website is where you can find like free resources like the communication guide. And I have a few other free resources on there along with my support group. So all the information about my support group and even like the sign up is right there on my website.
Nice. And is it like a rolling closed group or people can just jump in and join?
People can jump in. It's technically like a membership group where you pay monthly. It's a low fee monthly to pay and they could cancel anytime. We meet every other week. So they just pay each month.
I love it. Well, thanks for taking the time today. This is really cool to just see how you're using your own experience to put stuff out into the world through being a therapist and also in this coaching capacity. I think it's really neat. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you so much. Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.